Hello, everybody. On our last session, we were discussing WPA2 and WPA3 and their capabilities with the new information elements that are presented. And I mentioned that we would go ahead and show you what the over-the-air captures look like and talk about some of the client compatibility issues. So let's go ahead and show you my SSID setup here. So I've got a 635 AP. That I've have this SSID set up on here. So let's go ahead and edit this guy, and take a look at the settings here. So you can see here we've got enabled for 2, 4, 5, and 6 gigahertz. So we'll go into the security settings here. We're going to, you see that it's enabled for WPA3 personal or SAE. And if we look at the advanced options, WPA3 transition is enabled. So this is also called mixed mode. There might be some other terminology for it out there. But that's the UI setup. It's already ready to go. So let's go ahead and take a look at what that looks like on the access point. So this is the obviously this command line of the access point, showing the different SSIDs that are being serviced on here. And you can see that I've got two of them. So I've got one for 6 gigahertz, one for 5 gigahertz. That are being broadcast. I have 2.4 in monitor mode right now, so we don't see an SSID there. But if you take a look at the flags are indicating the capabilities of the BSSID here. And if you see specifically on 5 gigahertz, we have this M flag. And the M flag is, where's the M flag? There it is. M flag is telling us that it is operating in a mixed mode, meaning that it can support WPA2 and WPA3 if the client chooses to use WPA2. But if you take a look at that 6 gigahertz SSID, you'll see that that there's no M flag there. So no M flag, and we don't have mixed mode. So it's, because that's a requirement for 6 gigahertz, is that it has to be WPA3 with management frame protection. Okay, so why don't we go ahead and take a look at some packet captures. So if we head over to Wireshark here. Once I get my mouse moving. Oh, actually, yeah. I want to disable 6 gigahertz. I want to force my devices to use 5 gigahertz because this is my iPhone, because it supports 6 gigahertz, will connect to 6 gigahertz, and we're not going to see it. It successfully able to connect to a mixed mode SSID. So now that I've done that, let's go ahead and take a look at the SSID configuration again. Now you see I've only got it enabled for 5 gigahertz, and that it is in mixed mode in the flags there. Okay. So my packet capture, let's go ahead and get this started. And let's go ahead and focus on the beacons, because the beacons is where these capabilities are advertised. So we see a bunch of beacons coming in. Let's go ahead and take a look at my network buzz 2. And we got all these. I don't know why it expands these every time. I'm sure there's some setting that I can have it not do that. I don't know why I'm collapsing them, but I am. All right, so what we're looking at here under the tag parameters is the RSN information, which is showing us the AKM capabilities. And in this case, we have it's advertising two of them: pre-shared key for WPA2 and SAE for WPA3. So it's capable of both. And if we then go down and look at the RSN capabilities, we see that it supports management frame protection, and that it's not required. All right, so we should be able to fall back to WPA2 in this scenario. So let's go ahead and connect a couple client devices here and see what the behavior looks like. So first, I'm going to connect my iPhone, which again, it's going to connect 5 gigahertz. That's the only SSID I have this, the only band I have this SSID enabled on. So I'm getting prepped for that right now. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and let's look at the association request. So this is where we're going to see what happens. We're going to start. And all right, here we go. So I just connected, my iPhone just connected. As you see here, we get an association frame. So let's go ahead and dive into it. All right, back to those tag parameters. Let's take a look at the RSN specifically again, because here we see that it connected SAE, or it was it was associating via SAE, i.e. WPA3 and not WPA2. So great, because that's what it wants to do. And it is actually using management frame protection. So because it's an iPhone, a later version of the iPhone, it is going to choose the more secure capabilities on that BSSID. And yeah, and that it did. The association response, there's not much here for the RSN information because that's all handled through the association request. Okay, and if we take a look at the client perspective from the CLI, we can see that's actually my old connection there on my other SSID that it migrated over to. We can ignore that. And then what we're really looking at here is the Network Buzz 2, which we see we connected HE or 802.11ax. That high efficiency is what that HE stands for, which I don't think I said in the podcast, but that's the whole purpose. Well, not the whole purpose, but one of the major functions of 802.11ax. So there we go. So we have an iPhone that has successfully connected to a mixed mode transition SSID. So why don't we now go to look at an Android. An Android that it's old and it's not capable of WPA3. Let's see what happens here. So I'm getting that prepped right now. Give me a second. Gotta wake this old guy up. Get in the network settings. Okay, here we go. Okay, I'm gonna go. Again, I just want to look at the associate. We know what the beacon looks like. We already looked at that, and here we go. So going to go ahead and connect. Here we go. It connected. We see the association request here. Let's get that. Let's take a deeper look at it. Okay, so back to the RSN capabilities, and we can see here that it connected with PSK or WPA2, and that the management frame protection was not used because this device doesn't support it. So great, that worked. We have an old legacy device that fell back to WPA2 because we had transition mode disabled. So that's awesome. So in this scenario, we could have this SSID simultaneously on 6 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz, and for the whole 2 production devices that I have in my environment, that would be supported. So awesome. So why don't we see what happens when we connect a maybe an older device like an old iPod. So I actually can't show you. I'm gonna try it here, but because this device doesn't like the way that SSID is configured, we can't see the association frame. I can see it on my device right now. I can try to connect to it, but it's not even letting me type in the password. It's just flopping around. It just won't let me connect. So I can't do any of that. So again, we have both of them in here. So pre-share key and SE, but this is the problem I was telling you about clients. Some clients just don't like the fact that you have mixed mode enabled. So enabling WPA3 on your production SSIDs that you have in place today, although great idea, you need to test first on your production clients. Okay, now let's move forward and turn off mixed mode, and let's see how that looks. We'll go ahead and turn it off, and here we go. We got that turned off there. Let's save that. And let's see what it looks like from the CLI's perspective. Okay, here we are here. We've got the network buzz, and you see the M flag is no longer there. Okay, so it's no longer in transition mode. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the beacon frames. Get another little capture going here. Okay. And if we take a look at this here, we now see, after I scroll down all the way through this stuff, that we have, it's only advertising SAE for its AKM. So no pre-share key here any longer because we turned it off. It's not capable of falling back. And now we also see that the managed frame protection is required because if we, without mixed mode, now managed frame protection is required. So there we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and see what happens with client devices. So let me get my device prepped over here. Before we do that, let me clear everything out. Of course, my iPhone just went right back over to my other SSID, which is fine. All right, getting prepped here. One moment, please. Okay. Getting there. Okay, here we go. Let's get this password typed in, if I can type it in right, fat fingering it. Okay, getting the password ready to go. All right, I think I've got it here. Maybe. Okay. All right. Switch over so you can see association, hit and go, device connected immediately. And what we'll see here is exactly what we saw before last time this iPhone connected, because from its perspective, it only wanted to connect WPA3 or SAE anyway, and it used managed frame protection. Exactly what we expected to see, which is great. So now let's go ahead and look at what happens with the Android device. So getting that prepped here. And like the iPhone, I can see the SSID, but I cannot connect to it. So here we are, again with devices that don't support WPA3, can't connect to it unless it's in a fallback mode or transition mode, and if it doesn't choke on it. So that makes sense. This old Android device doesn't support any of that, so that's why we'd expect not to see anything here. And then yeah, same thing with the iPhone, same as before. So no surprise here that it's also not going to work. Okay, so yeah, that's that. Thanks for listening. If you have any questions, comments, whatever, go ahead and post them below. If I said something wrong, point it out. If you have any additional information you'd like to add, there are other things that we can talk about with the RSNs there, but I think that's the majority of what I wanted to cover today. All right, so until next time, we will talk with you later.